From San Francisco, California.
Here again is candidate number 6, the bilingual comedian Judy Brooks.
Judy Brooks measures 34-23.
Today, when you sit down and open your streaming app, you'll hardly find any new game shows. But back in the 1970s, game shows were everywhere. It was the golden era, with some shows still going strong today, and others that quickly faded into obscurity. So what happened to game shows? Let's dive into some iconic and forgotten game shows of the 1970s and explore their rise and fall. Up first, we have a game show that first aired in 1973, the $10,000 Pyramid. It was created by Bob Stewart, the genius behind other game show hits like Password. It premiered in 1973 with a unique premise: 2 teams, each made up of a contestant and a celebrity, who competed to guess words or phrases based on clues.
I think I'll take it bends.
It bends, she
Yes.
says. For your partner, David Spielberg, please describe these things that bend or have a bend.
Contestants who reached the winner's circle had a chance to take home the grand prize of $10,000. And that winner's circle wasn't for the faint of heart. Contestants had just 60 seconds to conquer the pyramid. The pressure was intense, but it made for some of the most thrilling moments on television. And did you know contestants had to pass a speed reading test just to qualify for the show? They needed to be fast thinkers to handle the rapid-fire gameplay. The show's success wasn't just about the gameplay. Dick Clark's charm and professionalism brought a sense of calm to the chaos. He had a knack for making contestants feel at ease while keeping the energy high. It's no surprise that he once said this was his favorite game show to host. By the end of its first year, the $10,000 Pyramid had already become a massive success, even earning a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Game Show. However, by the late 70s, it began to face stiff competition. Daytime television was evolving, and audiences had more options than ever. While the show's format remained strong, it struggled to innovate and keep pace with changing viewer preferences. In 1980, the show rebranded as the $20,000 Pyramid, doubling its top prize to stay relevant. While the rebranding brought a temporary resurgence, it couldn't match the dominance of the original. And though the Pyramid made several comebacks in later years, including the $25,000 and $100,000 versions, none quite captured the magic of the 70s era. Next up, we have a game show that brought pure, unhinged energy, The Gong Show. Created and hosted by Chuck Barris, The Gong Show premiered in 1976. At its core, it was a talent show, but with a twist. If the celebrity judges couldn't bear an act, they'd slam a giant gong to end the performance.
West Virginia, riding mama, take me home, country road. No.
This unique premise turned what could have been a typical talent competition into something wildly unpredictable. Unlike other game shows, The Gong Show embraced the absurd. From offbeat comedians to amateur performers with questionable skills, it became a stage for the weird and wonderful. Chuck Barris himself added to the show's chaotic energy, often breaking into song or cracking bizarre jokes. And here's something you might not know about Chuck Barris. He once claimed in his autobiography that he was a CIA assassin. While the claim was widely dismissed, it added another layer of intrigue to his already eccentric persona. Despite how groundbreaking Chuck Barris and The Gong Show was, it couldn't sustain its wild energy forever. By the late 70s, the novelty had begun to wear off, and critics increasingly called the show low and tasteless. In 1980, the show was canceled amid controversies, including allegations that it pushed boundaries too far. Chuck Barris himself admitted that the chaos often felt impossible to control, but that was also part of its charm.
Mary always made blank in the morning. Mary always made blank in the morning.
If there's one game show that perfectly captured the humor and irreverence of the 70s, it's The Match Game. With its playful tone, sharp wit, and unforgettable moments, it became one of the most beloved game shows of all time. The Match Game originally debuted in 1962 as a straightforward panel show, but it wasn't until its 1973 reboot that it became the iconic show we remember today. Revamped with outrageous questions and a more playful tone, the new version was an instant hit. The show's format was simple but brilliant. Contestants filled in the blanks of silly sentences, and the celebrity panel tried to match their answers. The results? Endless laughs and unforgettable moments.
For his wedding, notice the spelling of this is right, I think. Bar mitzvah. Hey! Now wait a minute, is it spelled right?
You happen to have bar mitzvah, but that's...
That's the Hungarian version.
By the mid-70s, The Match Game was the highest-rated daytime show in America. Its success came from the perfect mix of playful humor and the chemistry between the celebrity panelists. And speaking of chemistry, the bond between Brett Summers and Charles Nelson wasn't just for show. The two became lifelong friends, and their off-screen camaraderie made their on-screen banter even more genuine. And let's not forget Gene Rayburn's iconic skinny microphone. Originally chosen for its convenience on set, it quickly became a symbol of the show's quirky charm. Gene even joked that he wanted to be buried with it. But by the late 70s, The Match Game began to lose its spark. Changing viewer tastes and increasing competition from other shows started to take a toll. By 1982, the original run of The Match Game came to an end. Despite its decline, it left behind a legacy as one of the most beloved and influential game shows of all time.
Hollywood Squares Show N38, tape September 12, 1972, air TBA.
Hollywood Squares was another iconic game show of the 70s. It first aired in 1966, with Peter Marshall as the charismatic host. The concept was simple, a game of tic-tac-toe, but with a twist. Contestants picked squares, and each square featured a celebrity who answered trivia questions. Contestants had to decide if the celebrity's answer was correct or just a bluff.
The picture tube stores electricity like a battery. It is true, so watch it. Doug?
Charles, please.
Charo! True or false, dear?
By the 70s, Hollywood Squares was a cultural phenomenon. The show's success largely rested on its star-studded lineup. Each episode featured a mix of comedians, actors, and TV personalities. But no one stole the spotlight quite like Paul Lynde.
There's a prune tree growing in your yard. How do you know when the prunes are ripe?
My grandfather comes over.
One of the most iconic parts of Hollywood Squares was the show's tic-tac-toe grid. Did you know that it was inspired by the layout of an old telephone switchboard? This unique design became one of the most recognizable sets in TV history. Despite the show's popularity, Hollywood Squares faced challenges as the 80s approached. Changes in the format and declining ratings began to take a toll. Even with attempts to revitalize the show, including new hosts and updated sets, it struggled to capture the magic of its peak years. By 1981, the original run of Hollywood Squares came to an end. But its impact on television was undeniable, paving the way for future celebrity-driven game shows.
Beauty is not only in the eyes of the beholder, but also on this very stage. Tonight, the $1.98 Beauty Show will continue its relentless spoof of all of those other so-called beauty contests. And although this is not a real contest, we will bring you our version of the All-American Beauty.
What happens when you mix satire, glitter, and a whole lot of confetti? You get the $1.98 Beauty Show, a game show that parodied traditional beauty pageants with hilarious results. First airing in 1978, this outrageous show turned the idea of a glamorous contest completely on its head. The $1.98 Beauty Show was created by Chuck Barris and hosted by Rip Taylor. After its debut, it quickly became a cult favorite for its satirical take on traditional beauty pageants. Contestants competed in outrageous outfits, answered tongue-in-cheek questions, and performed hilariously bad talents, all in the name of comedy.
34. Being of Italian heritage, Cindy has no choice but to become a hairdresser. Her mother was a hairdresser, her father was a barber, and her grandmother was a blow dryer.
Hence the name. The grand prize money of this show was only $1.98. It was chosen specifically because it was comically small. Chuck Barris wanted the prize to be as absurd as the show itself. But as wild and unique as it was, the $1.98 Beauty Show had a brief run, ending in 1980. Its niche appeal and over-the-top humor made it a cult hit, but it struggled to maintain a broad audience in the rapidly changing TV landscape. The 70s were truly the golden age of game shows. Over the years, many of these shows have tried to make comebacks. Some, like Let's Make a Deal and Match Game, found success with modern audiences. Others, like The Gong Show and Hollywood Squares, had short-lived revivals but still hold a special place in the hearts of fans. Which one of these shows do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments below, and let us know if there are any other game shows you remember from the 70s.